This episode is brought to you by PS Kitchen, located at 246 West 48th Street, right in between Times Square and Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan. PS Kitchen is dishing out sophisticated fare using fresh ingredients. I love their PS Burger. It tastes so good, and their fries are really good too. It's worth every dollar. PS has signature cocktails, a late-night menu, and a full event space upstairs, which I actually get to record some of these podcast episodes in. So check it out, ps-kitchen.com. They also serve brunch, which is as good as dinner, I imagine. I haven't had it yet, but I'm going to have to check it out real soon. And if all of this doesn't sound amazing enough already, they're open for lunch, brunch, and dinner until 11 p.m. Sunday to Wednesday and until 2 a.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's plant-based and all profits go to charity. And the owners are really nice too. So check them out, ps-kitchen.com.
Good morning, Vietnam!
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
To infinity and beyond!
Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
It's classified.
You talking to me?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
I can't fly!
Expecto Patronum!
Entertainment X.
You never know what you're gonna get.
This is a fun episode. I sit down with Darius Frowner. He's a piano player, an educator. He's played piano in nightclubs and cabarets. He's also a music director, and you can catch him at the Duplex Monday and Thursday nights. So we discuss not being afraid to ask questions. We also talk about navigating through relationships. We talk about auditions, specifically when it comes to music. We also talk about special nights in his career and so much more. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode and keep on keeping on. We are back, and today with me is Darius Frowner. Darius, thank you for joining me today.
No problem. I've been looking forward to it.
Yes, it's gorgeous outside today. I just want to acknowledge we had a massive snowstorm the other day,
Right.
and today it's so sunny and beautiful.
Yes.
And you were up rather early this morning.
Yeah, well, my night job as a pianist at the Duplex keeps me up on Monday and Thursday nights. I finish around 4:15 a.m.
Oh, Lord.
And then, go home and go to bed. But I'm very used to that.
How long have you been doing the 4:15?
Okay, you ready?
I am.
Yeah, this is my 26th year of it.
Yes, it
So,
is.
as far as that job in the Duplex, so pretty much my whole career, except for maybe the first 4 years, that has been a big part of it. Not all of my career, but just like a centerpiece there. And it's nice to have something sustaining like that in the arts business because things change and come and go so much. So
That's funny you say that because I was listening to an interview with Al Roker, the
Yeah.
weatherman, and he always says, never quit your day job. Like he always
Yeah.
did other things. He covered the Olympics, the parade and all this other stuff, but he always has weather to go back to. So I think it's
Right.
interesting. It's kind of like the Duplex is your weather. You get to go back to it all the
yes,
time.
yeah, and
It's there.
luckily, they let the pianist there. We all get asked to do other things, and that's a win-win because I go other places. I mention the club. I meet other people. They come in on my nights. It seems like there's nowhere in the world where they don't know about the Duplex.
So true.
Just and when we say on any given night, where's everyone from? And we get all the answers, like England and Scotland and Montana and Canada and everything. So it's been quite a good thing.
See, that's fascinating to me because I was there, must have been 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And I got to do a little singing with
Yep.
Alex Grayson.
That
Good
was
guy.
great.
Good guy. And it's so interesting to see the balance in the room because you're like the DJ, the master of ceremonies, the accompanist, the song selector,
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like everything. And we'll start with that because there's
Okay.
so much that you've done. And I understand as a musician, it's so fascinating because you're like an entrepreneur in a way. You cover so many different things. You do so many different jobs and how to find that balance and keep that going. So we'll start with the Duplex and
Okay.
we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah, right on.
So, for instance, at the Duplex, and we'll start with some of the positivities and the joys of playing there and kind of feeling out the energy of the room. I'm just so interested how you follow people's emotions and feelings
Right,
in
okay.
any given night.
Yeah. Well, it is a balance between giving everybody a good time there because so often it's a party. People
It
are
is.
coming out and they just want to party and have fun. It's not necessarily where you sit down and watch a concert. At the same time, like the niche of my nights is attracting singers. I call it Singer Spotlight. And Maria Gentili, she works with me there for quite a long time, and she's on board with that too. So I meet people that I collaborate with in different shows, and I tell them I play the Duplex, and they come in and hang out and in an informal way do their stuff, whether it's musical theater, which it's much less of these days. The formula is more pop than musical theater, but we still have it. They'll come in, and I know them, and I know what they do, and put them up, show them off, or they want to try out new audition material, or just fun songs that you hear on the radio now too. At the same time, I know how to reach out into the audience with people I don't know and say, hey, does anybody want to sing? And I can suggest to them what's good for the room at the time. So again, there's times when an obscure musical theater song will work, and there's other times that it just won't. The people will talk all through it, and so I have to steer someone into a little bit of what I think's going to work in the room at the time, and that's a delicate balance. I have to be pretty what's the word? Careful how I do it, so I don't seem like I'm rejecting their idea. Any of my work with actors and singers, you're tiptoeing around egos and stuff. So that's part psychologist with all that, like in doing vocal coachings and all that stuff. People they love what they love, what they do, and so sometimes to say no, it's not a good time to sing the music of the night now. And it's not so much that I think they're going to be bad. Yeah. It's that I think that everyone's going to talk right through it, unfortunately, and it's just not going to work for anyone. So let's do something that's going to deliver a punch, that's going to make you feel great, and it's going to work for the room. Yeah. Over time, though, I have released a little bit of the control of that. It gets to be exhausting trying to run every single minute and figure out what's going to fly and what's not. And, you learn. So I've learned in running that room, sometimes, just let it happen. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it doesn't matter. That person got up to sing, and then something else great's going to happen in another 2 minutes. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find it, so for instance, let's just talk about ballads for a second.
Yeah.
Do you find those fit better in the early evening or late evening, or it really doesn't even make a difference? It's what the energy of the room is in that particular night.
Yeah, I go with the energy of the room, but sometimes I can change the energy of the room. So like if I see someone coming in and I know they are just amazing and they have this power ballad, and I'm going to put them up even if it's party time, and they're going to sort of shut up the room, and everyone's going to just get the thrill of that experience. But generally on Monday nights, because I'm Monday and Thursday, seems like we get away with more theater then. And then late at night, it's calmer in there. We can just take our time. We can do more chill songs. It doesn't have to be Don't Stop Believin' and those kinds of things, or New York, New York. And with those kind of songs, almost cliche piano bar songs, sure, we do them. There's times I feel like, oh, no, not that. And other times I'm like, it delivers such a hit of energy that that I love it. So it works.
No,
yeah.
I feel you with that. Are there any standout stories that come to mind of playing the Duplex on, it could be like, an epic story of someone doing great, or a standout story of I love these kind of stories, like a crazy brawl where you had to stop the party for a hot minute before we got back to Mamma Mia.
The brawl. There was one. I'm not gonna say who started it, but it is a bit of a celebrity that was in, who can be contentious. People, there's alcohol there, so people aren't on their best behavior at times. Something was said, I guess it was something racial to somebody, and the person who was the celebrity took it upon themselves to handle the person who said the bad thing. Oh. And it was actually like punching, and then other people started hitting each other, like that kind of brawl you see on TV.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what should I do? I'm going to keep playing songs so that everyone doesn't stop and watch. That only happened once, though. To be fair, there's usually no brawls.
Do you remember what song you were playing?
I don't remember the song, and if I could say the person, you guys would get it. It's actually a wonderful person, but don't mess with her. Okay, so now you know it's a woman.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll move on now quickly before anything else gets said. Okay, so I want to talk about. So we're gonna cover education here because you're also a teacher.
Yeah.
And some of the other gigs, because you do theatrical gigs, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
But I want to start off by talking about not knowing the answers and how you handle that.
All right.
Kind of navigating through that path of trusting jobs coming up or the relationships? It's a
Yeah.
big question.
Okay.
So we could start with.
Right. Well, not knowing the answers. One of the things that I do is I kind of look around at people to model as far as how do they handle things. You know,
Okay.
how is their temperament set in this situation? It could be as small as somebody online at the store and someone cuts in front of them and they found a way to handle it, which wasn't, it didn't cause a fight. It didn't,
Yeah.
you know, and I take quick note of that. I'm like, okay, that was smooth. Or it can be like, you know, celebrities and notables that I really admire. I mean, let's just take Barack Obama. Okay. How many things came his way and he maintained that temperament? I mean, that's a study in itself.
It is.
I also think that a smart person and a person who's not totally ego driven will know what they don't know. And they'll say, I need help with this. I'm going to ask somebody else what's a good answer for this. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like that resourcefulness is part of being smart, I think. You know who to ask or how to ask, and don't worry about how it seems, and all of a sudden you have more information about how to do something. You know, if I'm working with kids and I we have to do vocal warm-ups, and all of a sudden I feel like they're a little bit tired. I wish I had more. Some people have tons of them. So I go and ask somebody, hey, give me some more vocal warm-ups that I could do. And that re-energizes that first part of the day when I'm working with kids, because now we got these new fun warm-ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of thing. So I'd say asking people there's nothing wrong with that.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true, because there really is nothing wrong with asking, and most of the time you'll get a solid answer.
Yeah.
People aren't going to just say like, no, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah,
Like you'll
yeah.
get valuable information you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't ask. So from moving through navigating through your career, I want to talk about relationships and building those relationships, because it does come organically. You know, the more
Yeah.
jobs you do, the more you're in any
Sure.
career, you meet more
Yeah.
people. But at this point, is that kind of what it is for you with getting
Definitely.
the next kind of job?
It's for the most part, I don't really go out and seek jobs. Let's say like look up in listings for jobs for a piano player or a musical director.
Right.
I'm not saying I never do it, but most often it comes to me, you know, as a referral from someone else.
Yeah.
I have plenty of relationships that have been going on almost the extent of my career. One noteworthy one is Kathy Roy. She's the director of education, the theater where I teach, which is the Mayo Performing Arts Center, and we've known each other since like she was at NYU and I would play for her, and we just had gigs, and then she went on to start performing arts schools, and so we have had this just long career together. And the key is just, I guess, like knowing how to collaborate with people. I always want to be prepared and respectful, and then as far as collaborating, I find you come in, you bring your ideas, and we get very attached to our ideas.
Yes, we do.
But be ready for some of them to get shot down or like, you know, compromise on it. And the way that I look at that is if you're creative, you're going to have another idea. You're going to have another way.
They're plentiful.
Yeah. Think of it as plentiful and abundant. So I like to think that knowing the dynamic of any scene that you go into, like where the power lies, where your power lies. I usually try to find that out. And how can I take just a tiny bit more and still have it be a win-win?
Yeah.
Because I think people appreciate that sometimes. You know, offer your suggestions and your ideas, but then just know when not to. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
Know when not to. So these collaborations, and there's many of them, and I've had them for a long time, and I like being their main music guy.
Yeah.
You know, that they we got this project coming up, this show, or people contact me for referrals, even if I'm not going to be on the project. And I don't like to feel competitive with any other pianist or musical director. I know in this business, like with actors, there is a sense of competition because there's so many people up for a particular role, as you know, because you've auditioned for things, and you don't even know why. But you don't get the thing. I don't think there's as much competition between pianists and musical directors. There's not as many, you know. But I still want to be like a person that is held in a high regard. You know, you can trust him. He's going to be nice to the actors, but, like a little bit firm, have an expectation, the same way I work with kids.
Yeah. Well, I love that. You're bringing up a good point. So for education, when you're teaching, are there common themes or, like a through line that you're always teaching to students as you go through song work?
Right. Let's see. You know what? Let's just say if I'm teaching a group of teenagers a group song, and I'm going to start off with a pretty high level. Like maybe I tell them we're going to go for 6-part harmony, and that's a challenge that luckily the kids that I work with are into it. They just have an aptitude towards it, and they pretty much chose to do it. So it's not like pulling teeth. I know you could be like a adjunct artist or teaching artist in the city and go into public schools, and they don't want to do it. But I'd even welcome that. I have some experience with that, getting people to want to do it. Now, I'm not going to ask them to do 6-part harmonies, but I'm going to get with a combination of a positive attitude, getting to know the people as individuals, remembering their name. I can get results. I like kids and I like teenagers.
So I'm so curious about this now with the public schools.
Yeah.
How do you motivate a student to want to sing, a particular song or do a particular thing they might not be so inclined to do?
Well, I just went through some training about a year ago to do another type of arts education, and that's for for kids with autism on the spectrum, called the Miracle Project. It was like a 1-week intensive training, and I found that a lot of the things that we learned in that can be applicable to not just kids on the spectrum, but to any kids.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is just like the positive reward, like as soon as someone does the thing that you ask for, hey, everybody, how was that? Did you hear what they just did? That was great. That kind of thing. Everyone likes to get a compliment, Of
course.
So it's that. Sometimes you can, one of the, I guess, tricks is not to say, hey, do you want to sing this? Or do you want to sing this part or this part? So you're giving them the option of the two, but you're not giving the option of nothing.
Of a no. Yeah.
Right. So different things like that. It works as well as it can.
Yeah. No, I love that. I do love that. So talking about, so tomorrow, you said you're teaching, was it tomorrow?
Yeah. So at the Mayo Center for Performing Arts, it's several days a week. We have classes on Saturdays in musical theater. That's like 11 to 5. Okay. Then after school and evenings on certain days.
So I want to talk about the Mayo Performing Arts. Yeah. So what are you doing there?
Okay.
Like, what are we working towards?
That is a big, it's pretty much a presenting house. And a nonprofit, but well-funded out in Morristown, New Jersey. So different acts come through there and perform. Like our season openers have been Diana Ross or Kristen Chenoweth.
Okay.
And then it just keeps going the whole season, like Dixie Chicks and Kenny Rogers and, but the Performing Arts School, which is attached to that theater, has its own set of classes and shows. We do a main stage musical, which is quite a thing for youth. I mean, it's up to age 22. Yeah. But we do put in an equity contract, which our mutual friend Alex Grayson got.
It's going to be doing,
yeah. He's going to be doing Shrek with us.
Yes.
But that's a big budget show for that age group.
Yeah.
I am not the musical director of it. I've done them in the past. I can't fit it in always in my schedule. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the time, it's classes in musical theater or singing, or there's just straight ahead acting classes too, and improv, and it serves about up to 1,000 kids a year. It's you pay for it, but we never turn anyone away for lack of if they can't afford it. So it's just bringing the arts to another generation where they don't always have music in the schools in the same way. I can say us, you're younger than me, but we always had music.
No,
in
us
the
is
schools.
fine.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
So then you're also playing auditions as well.
Yeah. So then there's other times that like again, as far as keeping relationships, different casting directors, Harriet Bass in particular always hires me or offers me the days when she's casting a show. So those will be equity appointments, agent appointments, and then I guess a day or two of the equity open call. I sort of gave up on playing auditions where it's just a general open call and someone's coming in and singing 8 bars.
Why?
Oh, first of all, I just think that seems so mean. Like 8 bars. Like, oh no, that's all you're gonna get to sing. So I just find in the on that level with you're gonna come in. There's a little bit more stretched out time, and that's just me being an audition accompanist, which is just good day work.
Do you find that it expands your playing chops to do like those 8-bar situations, or be playing a bunch of different songs, not knowing what's next?
Oh,
sight reading, if you will.
I don't know about that. It's funny. Like the rep that people bring in for auditions, it changes over time. But I've just gotten to be so familiar with so much of musical theater rep that I can sort of see the print on the page as they're approaching me across the room and know what song it is, right?
I believe it.
Yeah, I just get to know, and then so sometimes they'll be explaining to me what it is, and and I clearly already know, but I'm never going to act like, oh, I already know that. But if we want to talk about that, because when I'm often an audition accompanist, and sometimes I've taught workshops on auditions, because there's certain things that you wish you could tell people, like advice-wise, but they're in and out so fast and on to the next one, and they don't even know what they might have been able to do a little bit better than
that's yeah. What? Like
Yeah.
what?
Well, I mean, let's just say if we get down to the micro level of how you give the song to the accompanist, right?
Okay.
So, all right, so you come in the room, and sometimes the creative team's not all the way ready for you just yet. There might still be flipping through papers or talking about the last person. So, as the actor, you want to come in right away and take that temperature. You don't necessarily go, bam, here I am, because they're not quite ready. That's your time to go over to the piano player, and then you put down the song, show them what you're going to do, where it should be clearly cut, where you're going to start and end, right? All that
Which
stuff.
we think is
seems
common
like,
sense.
It seems like it's basics, but I mean, I've got in paper bags, something
You're
written on a
kidding.
paper bag, or some pages
What was
that are
it?
going to.
Was it notes or chords?
I think it was like a Gershwin song with chords,
Like a lead sheet?
on a Trader Joe's bag.
God.
And that iPads are coming in too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I play from an iPad all the time. There's just a shot more of a chance that something could go wrong with an iPad, but probably not. And then the most important one I find is for the singer. Let's say if it's a song I don't know, or even a song I do know, I want to know what tempo you want to take it at. And so you want to, and don't let your nerves get in the way, but just sort of sing it quietly and sort of tap somewhere where the beat is. None of this is to draw attention to yourself from the people at the table. That's that moment that you have there. And once that's set, then you can, you go on out there and talk to the person. But what goes wrong is that they say the wrong tempo because they're nervous or something. But just try to get yourself grounded and get in there so you can have that quick communication with the pianist. Yeah. And then from there, I'd say over the course of a day playing auditions, any pianist is going to maybe mess up a song, not play it the same way as the singer wants to do. So in that instance, if it's really not going well at all, you can stop it. You can stop, and there's a positive energy to a mistake or something like that. That really gives a lot of information about the person.
It's like you're alive, you're here, you're present.
Yeah, I've seen people like mess up words or need to stop, and their charmingness or their whatever that they had did not make it such a train wreck. It makes you likable. You can get information from that too. So if you need to stop, now it doesn't happen often at all. Stop, or if or just adjust there in the moment. Adjust to whatever. If you mess up and you jump to the third verse instead of the second, just sort of fix it if you can, right? Don't get too flustered. As in anything in music, like one mistake, if you stop and think about it, you're going to bring on some more mistakes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one more thing about songs and choices. So if you get to that point where the director says, hey, what else do you have? Which is good if that happens. They want to explore you more. At that point, you want to have choices in your head that you can offer them without having to flip through the book and take time. Well, I have this from City of Angels. I have this from Titanic. And because you never know, that could be exactly what they're looking for. But another one could be one that they hate for just no reason. They just don't like that song. So you want to have choices that you can, and then you can go to the book. You can find them fast. That kind of thing of not flipping through the books for a long time is a big deal too. Yeah. So those are little points, but I just think they make the whole day flow.
They do, and you're bringing up great points because those are the high points. And do you find when someone comes, because obviously you're trying to get information the whole time as they enter the room to when they exit the room, you want to get a temperature, a reading of like who the person is as a person, not just their talent level, which you hear quickly. Is there some things that are just always consistent with people? Like if they're, and I don't want to use the word like talented or untalented because that just sounds, but everyone has talents. Yeah. This kind of general, I'm not finding the word, like a general running theme with someone, like they have a good headshot, they enter the room nicely, they sing a good song, they know their whole book in their head, and they, are polite on their way out, but nothing's rushed. I guess I just said it. What you would see that.
Yeah, that's
like congruent across the board.
That's really, just cool, calm, and collected the whole time. Yeah. There's just other little things like the whole table doesn't really always want you to shake everybody's hand. Like it's like everyone's like you can't be shaking hands all day long like that. So that's another thing. Just kind of leave that out. And then those questions like when would it start? When I don't know. Unless they act like they're showing you some more interest, you don't need to ask too many specifics about like you're already hired or something like that. Because they'll just give each other that look on your way out. That and then that's the kind of thing. Boy, I wish I could like tell them in a way. Don't ask that or don't. But mainly just do what you do. Do what you do well. I do a lot of work with a woman who teaches an audition class. Her name is Kimberly Vaughn. I've also worked with her for many years. And she just gives like so many pearls of wisdom every day, So she says like in an audition song, it's basically to get a hit of your personality within the story of the song. That's your goal. So, and it's not, again, it's not about over singing everything at the top of your lungs. I mean, we all like a good belt, but there's a fine line between everything coming at you at a 10, level 10,
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be a level 10.
No.
So, we're going to be doing a lot of hopping around here.
Sure.
So if anything else comes up with education along the way, rein me right back in, reel me in, and we'll go back to it. I want to talk about, because I know you set up a lot of gigs on your own as well, because you've made relationships with different companies or what have you, where you're going to perform and you collect performers or band, you put together bands and orchestras. And I'm curious how you go about choosing and kind of what makes a good orchestra / band / what makes a good performer for these on the fly gigs where,
So let's say if I have like there's a corporate event, and there is one coming up in June. The group I've worked with before, and the client has some specific things that they want in mind. Like for several years, we had to do some songs, but change all the words to be specific to that company. So we have like a guy who's really good at those kind of lyrics, and so they, change the words. This year it's something else that they want. So we're on a different track, but they'll ask me to put together musicians for that. So I have my favorite musicians that I call, and what makes them be my favorite is obviously they're good players. But what's so important with musicians and actors and singers is that you're going to ride in a van with them or a bus or an airplane. So are they pleasant? Are they kind of like, are they not clock watchers? Are they not things like that make them pleasant? Are they like kind of helpful? And luckily, I've found myself now surrounded with different musicians. Now, sometimes they're busy, which brings up conflicts in this business, which is another thing to talk about. But I do have like a stable of musicians and singers and performers that I can call that I know are going to be like that.
Yeah.
Or in the second to last rehearsal, I can figure out, what, I think you guys need to switch harmonies if that's, and they'll be okay with it, So stuff like that, the personality and temperament again, that's a big deal with who you choose.
Very flexible. Flexible humans.
Right.
What is a day in the life for you? Like, what's a week look like for you? And like coming up in May or June? Or...
Yeah. Because that's a nice busy season when May and June. The teaching at the Mayo Performing Arts Center is Tuesday and Wednesdays, so that'll be like 4 to 8, and then Saturdays 11 to 5. So that's that. Then there's the Duplex nights, which is Monday night and Thursday night, 9 to 4 a.m. Oh, also Thursdays is that the project with the autistic kids. So I do that, and then I go to the Duplex. But then mixed in there in May and June, so the teaching will kind of wind itself up for this spring. Then there's a lot more. Then I'll be doing, being an audition pianist. I know I'm going to be a audition pianist for a week for The Color Purple at Portland Center Stage.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so then, but my big project for this summer is I'm going to be music directing Oklahoma at Denver Center Stage. Yeah,
Okay.
I know that's a good one, and it's an all African American production, so that's even makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
And that has to do with building relationships. So, like I said, I've auditioned pianists for a long time for a Harriet bass casting. They would always have me be the guy in there. Sometimes I would be the eyes and ears if the musical director wasn't there, take notes on people. So the incoming director of Denver Center is a guy named Chris Coleman, and he's been the director many times while I was in the room, and he's moving over to Denver now, which is a great big place. And his initial production to mount is this African American production of Oklahoma. He's asked me to be musical director. So
What's the size? Just logistic size on it? Do you know the cast size?
the
in
cast
orchestra?
will be 23, and the orchestra is 12.
That's sizable.
Yeah, and the talent is they don't have enough black people in Denver. So the talent is coming from New York.
Okay.
So we will be holding auditions. It's going to get announced soon, but it's going to be in the middle of May, and the whole thing where agent call and all that stuff.
I love that. Depending on this episode, who listens, they're going to get some insider
Right,
scoop that this is
yeah.
coming up. How did the relationship start with Harriet Bass?
Yeah, I'm kind of forgot. I just know I think I got referred to her a long time ago and came in and played auditions, and besides being able to sight read well, and like my other like sort of specialty in this career is the black shows, because they want you to be able to do theater but have like a touch of jazz in it. So playing Ain't Misbehavin', for instance, is a show that comes up for me a lot on a national and even a little bit international level. Wow. And other that shows that have that, whether it's I've done Once on This Island before, and like how this Color Purple. So that sometimes is a specialty to be able to play in that style too, and theater and sight read straight ahead theater. So
Yeah.
it just kind of reflects how I grew up, which was in Bergen County, New Jersey, and it was a very very well integrated progressive environment. So I come from a middle class black family. My dad was a physicist. My mom was a social worker, and then she moved on to working in universities with grant writing. And the rest of my family is teachers and principals. It was a cool place to be. I went to Bergenfield High School. We had a great marching band and music department, but the surrounding towns, Teaneck and Englewood, were where my aunt and uncle were very involved as principals. And those are like nice, integrated upper middle class towns. And I got a nice start. It turned out the rest of the world wasn't quite like that, but my world is. It's still very, very mixed racially, and I can find myself in any kind of group of people and be used to it.
What age did you realize the rest of the world was not like Bergen County?
Yeah, well, I guess a little bit in college at Rutgers, and then after that, it's funny. I feel like I'm realizing it now at this late date more than before. Yeah. Like a TV show like The Huxtables was not that unusual to me because I grew up around people like, who were like the black people are teachers and doctors and lawyers, and then so are some of the white people, and some aren't, and some of the black people aren't. Just got very used to it being that way. So, and being so close to New York City too. So suburbs, but right outside of New York.
Of course. Did you come to New York a lot as a kid?
Yeah. We could, come to see shows and cultural things, and then pretty much as soon as you could drive, you could drive like any teenager, but then you could take those trips into the city. And seriously, I was in and out in 20 minutes, and home.
Yeah, Jersey's like much closer than people think.
Yeah. I live in Jersey City now, which is
quick.
like even closer. It's a different kind of close, but that was more north and suburban, and it was, so that exposure to like mixed cultures has still served me in my career now. So going back to the Duplex, the early nights there were just a black Broadway hangout, and I had on a given night like Billy Porter and Norm Lewis and Carpathia Jenkins and Dennis Stowe and lots of people, Trent Armand Kendall, who all went on to have great big careers and still going on with them. And so that was like a hangout for that. It's not quite that way now. although I'm giving you more flavor than the other nights, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's not quite that. But what I do have, and I was planning to say this on when talking to you as an impetus to get me to do it, but I have VHS footage from those days of it's like Billy Porter and everyone, like 1996. And
That's so
I've
cool.
just been dragging ass about getting that converted to digital so I can show everybody.
That'd be a
how it
documentary.
was. Yeah. It's like I'm just sitting on that, and I don't know why,
Yeah.
but now I'm just saying it on here, and I'm going to get that out there and do it, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh my goodness," because it was like before we videoed everything, 96, 98 times like that.
Did you meet them just like they came in one night and the rest is
Yeah,
history?
it's well, you know what the real start and who gets credit for that was Jerry Dixon, and he just brought me into accompany him at a show upstairs at the Duplex where we have the sit down theater, and the old owner of the Duplex said, "Hey, we need someone on Monday nights," and I started playing on Monday nights, and again, I just brought in people that I knew to just come in and sing with me, and it took off from there, and it was as Trent put it, it was a moment in time those days in the Duplex from like maybe the first 10 years of me working there with that. It's still fun. I can put together group numbers like, I don't know, things from Hairspray and Les Mis at any drop of the dime, and have enough people to like pull off those numbers. And it's a mixed crowd, but in those days it was like that level of singing all the time.
That's so funny you bring that up because literally I was at home last night. I wasn't at the Duplex last night, but Instagram is a wonderful thing, and they have the live, and I was watching you and the crowd live, and you guys did, was it Billy Joel?
Okay.
And they had the backup singers, a drummer, a lead singer. Do you find like a rush in putting together a huge number like that?
I do. I do love to do that. I can figure out who's there and who's going to be in it, and what, give them a part super quick, like 1 minute musical direction on it. And then I love bringing in someone who never thought they'd be part of a group song like this, who's just visiting from Michigan, and they're all of a sudden they're in a group song like that with the bunch of people, and the cajon, that's like that drum that's very it adds a lot of fun to the to the whole thing.
A lot of flavor to the whole night.
Yeah.
When did you begin piano?
Yeah.
What was the beginning of that for you?
So that was later than most. So I didn't start off with classical lessons like a lot of people did. My school instrument was the clarinet. So I knew music, and my parents gave me well-rounded exposure to all kinds of things. But for some reason, when I was in the chorus in 6th grade in middle school, there was a student accompanist, or there was two. Like, it's a student who would come and play piano for the chorus when the teacher asked. All of a sudden, I wanted to be that person. And so I taught myself enough piano in a year, like the bass clef, and started taking a sneak look at the teacher's score and all that stuff. And so it was self-taught, and I went at that like I'd never gone at anything before or after.
Yeah.
Like to teach myself the piano enough to play for the chorus.
What were you sight reading? Was it choir parts that you were
Yeah,
teaching?
it was a lot of choral arrangements, but also just the pop songs that were out at the time.
Yeah.
So, and I started to listen to shows, like I remember, a lot of Chorus Line, because that was on Broadway then, and Magic Show and Pippin and stuff like that. That I would listen to, and then I'd get my mom to take me to see.
Wow.
Well, I was doing it in the middle school and through high school.
So it's primarily musical theater for you. And then,
Yeah. But in the meantime, it's pop, and I'm not going to say I'm any kind of monster jazz piano player, but I'll cover a standard for you. I'll play, yeah.
Did you ever take formal lessons?
There was different times throughout that I've studied with teachers, and then in Rutgers I had 2 years of music theory and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm a person who just plays by ear or anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't go the classical route though.
Yeah.
So
What gives you like a charge in life? What really revs your engine, so to speak?
Well, some of the stuff, obviously we're more than one thing. So like, let's say outside of like, music and performing,
Sure.
Some things I love are like, I love beaches and oceans. That's just a major thing for me. Like to
Why?
go swimming in an ocean, or just the magnitude of it. It's friendly, but it's menacing too. Watching the ocean in a storm, or the full moon over an ocean, that kind of. So I get kind of a spiritual feeling. I have like whole playlists that I listen to when I'm sitting in front of the ocean. So
Can I
love
ask
that.
like what kind of music it is?
It'll be a whole variety of stuff, like, and which is the different things I like: classic soul, classic rock. There's some classical pieces mixed in there of what I might want to listen to. Great big storms. I always get a thrill. I mean, I don't want anyone to get hurt, but but storms I love. I guess I get that from my dad.
Yeah. I was driving through when I worked on the ship for a period of time. We were riding through a hurricane, and to just see the magnitude on the middle of the ocean on this ship, just the waves and everything, it was just like,
Did you think you were going to make it?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
We had avoided the worst part of it. But it was, it was the boat was listing a lot, as much as like a 1,400-foot boat can or whatever, however long it is. But it was that idea of just the way they just go so high and so low. It's like that fascinates me. So I understand what you were talking about.
I like that. Like some of the natural phenomena like that, where you don't have to. I know there's plenty of things I like to do by myself. I don't need other people for. So that's enjoying like weather and nature and storms. People can be there or not, and I like it.
Have you done a lot of traveling?
A medium amount.
A medium. That's a good answer.
I mean, like within the United States, sure,
Okay.
I get lots of.
Well, your jobs, right?
Yeah, the jobs take me around. And so like San Francisco, and Florida, Chicago.
Yeah.
I've been to Europe 3 times. The one
Where?
Yeah, well, the first time it was like Ain't Misbehavin'. I told you this. Producer. Now he wasn't such a great guy, but he did have a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, which was there's big jazz festivals throughout Europe. They're big attractions, and so you get like straight ahead jazz acts. But his idea was to put a jazz musical on the list of so like in between big jazz acts there we performed Ain't Misbehavin', and we did it in the jazz festival in Austria and in Pori, Finland, which is just like being in another world, like Finland, where it was like still sunny at 11 o'clock at night. And in Perugia, Italy, we did wow. And that was really that was thrilling. I'd say one of the best nights of my life happened in Perugia, Italy.
Why?
Well, that was the first of the stops on this tour. And so we're this theater act in the middle of major jazz acts, and we sort of took a bus up a mountain from where we were staying to this big plaza where there's action and restaurants, and there was this atmosphere of Italy winning in World Cup soccer within that week. So it was just electric.
Yeah.
And first time being in Europe and like ordering Italian food, and it was real. And walking around with my friend who was the bass player and seeing the venue that we were going to play at the next night, which was like an opera house, an ornate opera house. And I was like, this is just too much, like when it's like surreal. It's so like thrilling and our show was the next night at midnight, like, a midnight show in an opera house in
Italy.
In Perugia, Italy,
Wow.
yeah. And I remember we let ourselves miss the van to take us back down the mountain. We just couldn't even leave the fun and the atmosphere. We got down eventually. Like, well, some gypsies showed us how to do it. Like, those kind of things were like, is this all real? And so that sort of collect magical moments and memories like that. And I think that was one of them.
Do you have a spiritual practice?
No, the closest is I listen to Buddhist talks, and I do some meditating.
What kind?
Well, I just find that the concept and the conceit with Buddhism is that it's practical. It's practical ways to deal with life, and it sounds negative, but the suffering of life, right? Mm-hmm. So it's about how to manage yourself while some things are concurrently bad at the same time, and they always are. It's just not all good, So we want to learn how to be at peace with things when they're not the way you want them to be.
Okay.
Also,
yes.
Right. So to me, that's where I gravitate towards. I like a lot of the functions of religion, but I just can't line up stuff that isn't practical. And to me, that's like, I don't believe that snakes talked. I don't believe that, those kind of things. I don't want to be making fun of anyone who does believe that, but I just don't. It's
That's
got to be like, has to kind of make sense. And there's the magic in the world that I talk about. It's not real. It's not like science fiction magic, but like that night in Perugia felt like magical to me. Or other things, people getting together to do something good. Now, these are real good things that don't have to do with. I don't know. I think we made up a lot of the answers for religion and stuff because we had questions and we made up answers.
Do you have a favorite? I do. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite coincidence or a favorite moment where life happened for you? Or is it that night in Peru?
No, I do. It's too bad I probably can't think of them right now, but I do, and I love when those things happen. And
Me too.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like a lot of those are the types of things that people say. God did it, and I wish I could believe that. It seems so nice to feel like God's doing that, or He saved someone from cancer, or I just missed that car accident and God did it. And I think sometimes there's meaningful coincidences for sure, but I don't know if it was like some predetermined thing that someone did for you.
Yeah, it's life happening for you.
Yeah.
In terms of those coincidences, so you have such a balanced way of being. You seem so like even keeled, if I'm using, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you get angry? Or how do you deal with that?
Like, I don't know. I don't think anyone really can remember a time of me like getting up and slamming a door and leaving.
I can't
a room.
picture it.
Like, and I'm like a big guy, and it seems like I could use that to be imposing or to be. And I want to soon.
You're working on it.
I'm working on it. Yeah, like I want to have one physical fight. I never had one,
Jesus.
but I do. I want to have one. I'm saving it.
You're serious? God.
Yeah.
Are you you're not, so I get the impression you're not reactionary. Do you, like, when something comes over you, you take a second, think about it,
yeah,
and then respond?
let's say, like, let's going back to the duplex. There are times when I can feel violated by someone. You just, that just doesn't know how it's running there, or just kind of you feel like they try to belittle you or be just generally unappreciative or something like that.
Okay.
When that happens. Sometimes I will try to fix the situation, help reframe it. And that's something that comes from like the Buddhist studying. Like we're going to reframe this to make it be like a bit of a win-win.
I love that word, reframing,
Yeah.
because you can do that with everything in life.
Yeah.
You can take
Yeah.
a good thing and make it bad. You can take a
Right.
terrible, dramatic, crazy,
Yeah.
devastating situation and make
Right.
it good.
Yeah.
It's how you frame it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love that.
Those things don't always come to you in the exact second that you need them, but I would say that for anger, I have a way to put a buffer in between just blowing up or imploding or exploding and what just happened. One of the things is I guess I have I think I'm logical and I'm fair, and I'm also willing to see my part in things too. I'm going to see what did I do in there that I could have fixed, or maybe
Where does that come from?
Just to me, like I don't know where I learned it, but like if someone gives you a criticism or something, if they call you in your job and they say you're doing a great job but you're always late or whatever it might be, like if you like yourself enough, you can take that. Okay, I can work on that. I still like the rest of me, but I'm going to work on this thing.
If you like yourself enough.
If you like
That's
yourself
good.
enough,
Yeah.
you can take a criticism. You can take a couple. And you just know not everyone's gonna like you, and that's that.
just life.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Right.
How do you find the balance between making things happen and letting things happen?
Yeah. That's a good one. Since I'm like sort of in a leaderly position, like when I'm teaching or as a musical director, you do need to generate actions, have people. So I think of different ways. I come off like nice and encouraging first. Now I know other people's managerial styles is different. They're scary.
Some try fear.
yeah, but which might work for them. I mean, it is kind of good for someone to be a little scared and so that keeps them in line a little bit. I tend to go with being nice first. I put it out there what we think, what's expected in this whole thing to make the whole thing work as a whole. I have learned to back off a little. Let's just say back to the duplex. In choosing songs or figuring out what to do or sort of nixing someone's suggestion, and over time, that's one of those areas where I received some criticism and I decided to examine it. And I realized that sometimes it's not being bossy, but what I'm actually doing is creating opportunities for this person to shine and to do this. And I always love to do that with singers. Like, it's not about me, but I like to support them and sort of make the stuff happen. Other times I just, you know what? I'm going to back off this. It's going to be okay if I totally go with the other person's idea and don't even insert any of mine. I try that on purpose sometimes too. Because, we always want to remain teachable, right? So
We always want to remain teachable.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Are you still learning?
Yeah,
Every
all
day.
the time. Even if you're, no matter how smart you are or wise, you're going to see something, the way someone handled something, and wow, that was smart there. Or I appreciate that. That gave me some wisdom that I want to use.
I love that. And you use the word leaderly, being in these positions of playing piano at the Duplex, or teaching, and the auditions and what have you. Is there any standout lessons or things that have come up in your mind as far as leadership? Like what you've learned about leadership, maybe, through any of these jobs?
I mean, I feel like I said, I went to Bergenfield High School, and there was such a great music department. And, we all have our mentors, and the guy, Michael Bernard, who was the choir director, his whole way of teaching with, it's project oriented, but he had humor, a lot of humor mixed in there too. So I find that I try to be funny and affable with everybody. That's my way of, getting them to like me and listen and get on board. Another thing is, this is kind of like a skill that I value, that I have, and I value it in other people. And that's it's time management within a rehearsal or something. So if this is the amount of work, this is what we have to do. And if I have 2 hours to do it, I can stretch it out and make it take 2 hours and not be boring. Or if they say you have 12 minutes to do this, I can do it in 12 minutes too, whichever it is. And I kind of can do it without looking at a clock or a watch,
You just feel it?
Yeah. I just know how to stretch it out, make it interesting, what to rehearse again, when to give it a little rest, or now we got to do this fast. So then in that instance, I will know who can carry harmony the best and the quickest without even letting anyone know that that's what I'm doing. But that's how I can make it work out.
I love that because, you're so intuitive. It's kind of feeling a situation. You can step into a room and feel the vibe.
Right.
And that's so key it's like one of the golden keys of being a leader.
Yeah.
You really feel out the room, feel out the vibe. Tell me, okay.
I
I'm not
agree.
I'm not completely off.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
Who inspires you?
Let's see. Well, I like I mentioned before, someone Barack Obama, but he's an obvious choice, or even another person.
Well, who's the third person? If you name three or
Oprah. I got to put her in
yes,
there.
Of course.
My mom actually is one. She just has a way. It's just encouraging and nurturing, and I've never felt for one day in my life that I'm not a son who's greatly loved by his mom. So that's a nice thing. I don't know that everyone can say that, but I also think that sometimes women know how to do this thing where they can have some crises going on, but they're making Thanksgiving dessert anyway, and just things go on, just tasks get taken care of. And so I know that my mom knows how to handle all those things, and she's in book clubs and things like that. And she's getting up there, but you'd never know it,
Yeah. Knowing where to put your energy. What to spend your energy on. Yeah.
Keep renewing your positive attitude about things,
Yeah.
Yeah. And another one is this woman I mentioned before, Kathy Roy, the director of education where I work. Now, she makes things happen. We've 2 years ago now, we were chosen to be amongst just a few groups of teenagers to participate in this thing at the White House, Broadway at the White House. And it was something that's put together by Michelle Obama, where different, dignitaries, and on the panel that day was Andrew Lloyd Webber and Whoopi Goldberg and Cicely Tyson and Matthew Morrison. And they talked a little bit about creating arts. And then there was a working lunch where we sat at tables mixed with these people. And then we went to different workshops, like the choreographer for On Your Feet was there. And
Sergio.
Yeah. And he so he taught
Incredible
some of our
guy.
students, and so I was in that workshop. Yeah. And then we just get the announcement. Okay, so Michelle Obama's coming in soon. So like, because you're right there in that room, like under the picture of George Washington. It's another one of those special days of the career, like so many things happening at once. And so she comes in, and they're like, everyone stands up, and now she's right there in front of us, just how you'd think she was going to be. Like you can tell she's powerful and like majestic, but just real. She's like, oh, everybody just sit down, because you stand up when she comes in, and then she answered a few questions, and then she like did the conga line with everybody, And it was the same. It was the day after like some awful Paris bombing, and Barack was away in Paris. But this whole day turned into a TV show, which was broadcast on Thanksgiving that year. And one of our students got to sing with Kristen Chenoweth for good. Yeah, it was like, so Kathy Roy like orchestrated all that. Like she, down to, she can look at things on the micro level and the macro level. Just so she's a model for organization and inspiration. That's why I've worked with her for so many years too.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a fascinating story.
Yeah. I love the White House.
And you've come back around with Norm too, right?
Yeah. Well, for a while, I was playing all like Norm's concerts where he didn't sing with an orchestra. There was an orchestra involved, and he needed a piano player. So we did several really cool concerts. Like one was at Kennedy Center. It was just Norm and me playing piano, and this guy can sing all of his hits in one concert, like all of them. You can get Bring Him Home, followed by Being Alive, followed by like the things that you think might be vocally taxing to all sing in one night. Well, he does it in all with charm. Yeah.
Wow. When you lose focus, how do you get back on track?
Yeah. I think sometimes I go ahead and let myself do something else for a little while. If that's, I mean, I'm not losing focus in a big way, like I'm like for a week or a month, but in a given day, and I'm trying to get a lot of things done, and I just give myself a break. Breaks are important. You take a break, and then you sort of get re-energized back towards it again.
It really does. If you just step away from something
Yeah.
for a second, it'll bring it right back. How do you stay in the light in this
Okay, yeah.
polarized world of darkness and light?
Yeah, because you can't even, I don't know, check your Facebook feed and there's going to be some new disaster, right? It's to the point where we're like just desensitized to it, like and so I worry about that. How is everybody like? How are we all acting, or how are we not caring about all these things?
Yeah.
And I just think you can always look around and there's something else good happening. It's just the smallest thing, like instead of reading your phone when you're online at the store, strike up a conversation with the lady in front of you. Just small talk. And you get this little hit of well-being. It's just a little tiny part of your day. But things like that keep you in a good mood, like regular, friendly small talk, which might be something that's going away with people because everyone's just stuck on their phone.
I noticed that on the subway the other day. No, yeah, it is. It literally is. Like you see it. You're sitting on the subway, and like, so I used to DJ in Midtown, and I'd get home at 4 or 5 a.m.
Oh, uh-huh.
And you ride that A train by yourself, you get bored.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I think, if I remember correctly, 72 seats per car on the A train.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking about it. That's 72 opportunities to talk to someone about something you don't know. Because
Right.
everyone knows something you don't know.
Uh-huh.
And like, we're in the city, and like, no one talks to each other. But like, if you just talk to the person next to you, they could have played at the White House and had this like amazing experience to share with you, or what have you.
Yeah.
Like I complimented some guy's glasses over in Hell's Kitchen. He's like, "Oh, they're Andy Warhol's." I was like, "Oh, tell me that story."
right. Yeah.
So it's finding the magic, like
Yes.
what we were talking about before we
Yes.
started this.
Yeah.
Finding the magic in those interactions. That's a great answer. Okay. I want to hop back over to this Oklahoma thing for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there a projection on it? Are they starting it in Denver and looking to bring it across the
No,
country?
it's going to be like one of their all the publicity for this production is going to drop on April 2nd. So that's cool.
Okay.
But it's a sit down. It's going to stay there. And it just has its run, which I think after this is a good comfortable rehearsal period of is it 6 weeks? That's a good long time,
sizable.
including previews. And then it opens, and it only runs for another 6 weeks after that. But it's not a tour. It's just going to be there. It's a 700-seat theater. I'm just finding out more and more about Denver Center now.
Yeah, it's a big
Place with several things going on at once.
Yeah. That's going to be so exciting. I know anything over 10 days for rehearsal is like primo.
Yeah.
Because, summer stock in particular is like 10 days. Get it up, get it out, get it on, get it go.
Yeah, so I was speaking about how I know how to stretch out. I'm
Yes,
gonna have to like stretch out that that teaching process there, but you know, it's still a luxury.
It's going to come down to like theater games. No,
Yeah.
not at all. Okay, so I have some questions here as we work our way to the end of this conversation.
Yeah.
So we'll shoot them out. They're going to be rapid fire. Your answers don't have to be rapid fire.
Okay.
Best, most worthwhile investment. Skill set, money,
Yeah.
relationships.
Let's see. I'm going to think about that for a second. Well, I think whatever you can do to bring yourself up to speed, whether it's like learning a new technology, let's say like learning GarageBand, you know, that's when I have to record something. And so, you know, making sure I have it because you don't want to be without the thing that people are asking you for. And then like just taking the time to go to the details to teach yourself what it is. So attention to detail for things, which is something that doesn't always come so natural to me. I've decided that okay, I'm gonna pay attention to this and learn this, and then I'm gonna get better at it.
Is that a mental space you put yourself in to focus? How do you
Yeah.
focus?
That's a thing because we have so many distractions and stuff now.
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna sit here and figure out how to create this track. You know, even if I have to go to 4 tutorials, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. You know? So a little bit of self-discipline with that, making yourself. I think that comes easier to some people than others.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it like, for instance, is there a piece of advice you'd give someone whom it doesn't come so easy to with
Yeah.
self-discipline, or is there anything that comes to mind? Or
Well, you know what? The quote that I'm working with now
Okay.
is if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. So that puts you, that
is
helps
true.
frame it, right? We're talking about
does.
framing. And so
Yeah.
how many times do we say, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. But when you're really on the track, let's say for working out, you find yourself at the gym, you say, I can't do this until after I'm done working out.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you just won't do it. You
Yeah.
know?
Do you believe that discipline equals freedom?
Yeah, I do. You know, another quote, which is something like, opportunity. Oh wait, no, success is where preparation
Yes.
meets opportunity.
I've
Okay,
heard
I'm
this
saying it
before.
wrong, but it's something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard Oprah say it.
Okay.
Which is like luck is the moment of preparation meeting opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think someone said it prior to her as well.
Okay.
But yes, that's
Right.
what it is.
Yeah. You do have to be ready. Like I think sometimes smart people and quick thinkers rely on that a little bit instead of actual preparation and work and stuff. You know. So so now I'll show up and I'll have everything marked off in the score and I'll have the copies made I need to give out. But at any given moment, something could change, and I still have to rely on how I know how to act on the fly. But I'm actually prepared too with stuff I need.
Huh. Yeah, I like that. Is there any common piece of incorrect advice you hear in your field? And this could be from like teaching to
Yeah.
auditions
Let's see.
to music directing.
I don't know if I have a good answer for that one. It's a little bit more in has to do with like a thing I hear people say just in life, and that's like that you shouldn't care what anyone thinks. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. I just think we need a caveat to that. Sometimes you do have to care what people think, right? How could you just not? Like, that means you're like, you just can't do whatever you want all the time. I mean, sometimes we have to live with other people and within some constructs and stuff. So I do think we need to care what people think, not to a fault where it stops you from doing stuff.
Now where it paralyzes you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's is another great point because, and you hear that, and I've heard this a lot, is like, well, I'm me. I'm not changing. This is who I am. I'm unapologetically myself, which is different than being like unapologetically authentic, which I talked with Jane Jordan a previous episode on, because you still have to be, you march to your own drum, your own beat. You still have to, sometimes march with other people if you want to do anything in life.
Yeah, that's right.
So-
right. So like seeing where you are, and then also like, learning how to be right-sized. You're not bigger than you are, and you're not smaller than you are. You're
Being
just
right-sized.
Yeah. Fitting right into we could all feel like that. Some of us go around feeling bigger than everybody all the time. Some people feel less than all the time, So we want to figure out how to be right where we are in the situation,
Yeah. What does success mean to you?
I just think it's that this kind of, it's just a fulfillment of what you do. I mean, hopefully it also equals that what you do for work and your livelihood is an extension of your personality somehow. It doesn't have to be for everybody. Like for me, I don't know. I have a low tolerance for spending a long time doing something that I really, really don't like. However,
Same.
But if someone can do that, if someone can be like a factory worker and I think that's a skill to be able to do something all the time that you don't love. I don't look down on that. I look as like, wow, that's great that I can't do that. But I think it's a skill to be able to do something that you don't like because you have to, because you need to support your family or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had read an interesting article the other day about like different people being like for a love of sameness and for a love of like difference. Some people love doing the same thing, like routine, down to the T.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. It's perfect and fulfilling. And then you have some people who are like, can never do the same thing.
Right.
It'll drive me insane if I did the same thing. Not
Yeah.
making this about myself. I'm sorry. But
you
like two
keep
different
yourself
kinds of,
busy in all different endeavors.
and you kind of just have this balance, and that's part of figuring out, do I like to do the same thing? And that's okay.
Yeah.
Even if all your friends like to do different, like it doesn't have to be the same thing. So yeah. How do you, and I think you might have answered this question already, so we'll see. How do you find the balance between achievement and fulfillment?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel with my achievements might equal fulfillment sometimes. They might be I might be looking at them in the same way, but fulfillment comes from things not career oriented as well. It comes from like, was I helpful with my family? I know that everyone in my family likes when I make the soup for Thanksgiving and Christmas. They look for it, even if I don't feel like doing it. I'm going to do it, And in the end, you're happy you did it. You know what I mean? They really, or they want me to, play so that everybody can sing Christmas carols at the end of Christmas. And
I didn't get to ask you that. You're bringing up another good point. I feel you on this one.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Darius, to the piano.
I know.
You're like, I just want eggnog.
Right. Yeah. And then again, once I get started, I mean, there's usually going to be some like elderly aunt who might be like, I don't know how many more years I have here. And like, all right, I'm going to start playing the songs.
That could be a separate episode.
Yeah.
Pressured into doing your talents
Well,
on
it's just,
off.
It's just that they love it so much, so it's easy to do,
In the end, do you always feel glad?
Yeah, really glad,
Yeah.
They look to me for that. So
how do you view happiness?
Yeah, it's I always find that the times I feel the happiest, it comes as a byproduct of doing some hard work and then not thinking about yourself and not pursuing happiness directly, and it's a byproduct. And all of a sudden, you finish this whole task, and now you have a couple hours free to do something, and all of a sudden I'm happy. I'm happier than I was if I just had a day of nothing, when you think you're going to be like, oh, this is going to be great. Sometimes those days I'm like, I don't know, what should I do? But when you're good and busy, all of a sudden you're happy. So to me, it just seems like, for me, busyness, I do like to have a couple things going on at once, and some calls I have to make, and some emails, and this and that. In the end, it's as a byproduct, I feel happy.
Yeah. I would happen to agree with that one as well. I like being busy. I enjoy it. Yeah, and sometimes it's not even the word busy. It's just like, just living that fulfilled life.
Yeah.
And of course, the inevitable last question here about your Billboard quote. I think you've answered this already. Will you repeat it one more time, though? Because I like this.
So, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse.
Yeah. That's a really good quote. Thank you for sitting down with me today. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we go? Any asks of the audience?
Let's see. I'm always encouraging people to, step outside of your box and do something. And a lot of times, in particular, that comes to like getting up and singing a song. Since I know a lot of people in the business, trying to make it or on that path, I would encourage them to like get themselves. Let's say if you're a singer, have a list of songs that you sing. I know it seems like simple, but so many times I'm asking a singer, what do you do? And they don't know what they sing or they can't think of it because a list of songs. That's a simple thing, but like then, bam, now I know what you do because I do hire people for gigs sometimes too. Also, if you're a singer, I would encourage you to learn a lot of songs. Another thing that's happened over the years is
that is your field.
People don't know. They only know their audition songs, but like a singer knows some songs, like in a couple different varieties and some up tempos. They don't all have to be your loudest, best piece either. They can just be some tunes, but I mean, just go ahead and find out what fulfills you on a bigger level. We can all keep working on ourselves is another thing too.
We can all keep working on ourselves.
Yeah,
that's very true. Where can we find you?
Okay. Well, my website is my name, DariusFrowner.com. Yes. I'm pretty active on Facebook as far as posting what's coming up and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those are the two main places. Instagram's just for fun. I don't really think of that as professional networking.
Yeah, it's just fun to post the photos.
Yeah.
And of course, if we're in Midtown, we can find you downtown.
Right.
Mondays and Thursdays?
Monday and Thursday nights at the Duplex. We call it Singer Spotlight, and it starts at 9 p.m. You just show up, let me know you're there, a song or two you might want to do, and we'll get you up there.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. I'm going to have to be going back there real soon with, of course, the Alex Grayson who connected us.
Our guy, Alex. Yeah. He's a great guy, and I'm glad to see him working, and he's like on a nice path. Yeah. And he's why we know each other.
Yeah. Well, Darius, thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
I love doing this. Thanks, Clay. There's another night that I'm considering one of my career highlight nights, and that was whenever the Trump election happened. We were asked to put together a choir, the performing arts school that I work with, through a contact to sing Morning Glow at the end of the night at the Dramatists Guild dinner, and that's a big deal. It's put together by Andrew Lippa, and on the bill was people from Hamilton and just all kinds of stars there, and we were asked to sing Morning Glow behind Aaron Tveit. And it was the finale of the night with Stephen Schwartz there, and Andrew Lippa said, the idea is for you guys to be so good that Stephen Schwartz will cry from Morning Glow. So the whole evening it was at Gotham Hall, and it just had that whole sense of just amazingness. Like all of us get to step into the real arena sometimes. And I conducted the choir from the middle of the floor, and Charlie Rosen was conducting the band, and so we had that kind of eye contact. And it was like that song Morning Glow, it just builds and builds to this crescendo, and there's actually like video of it, and I'm like conducting that last note to the cutoff. And then afterwards, it's all, conversations with Stephen Schwartz and pictures. The whole theme of the night, because it was the night before the election, so it was between Hillary and Trump, and we had lived through 2 years of that campaigning. And so the Morning Glow was that, a new day will be tomorrow. And it didn't go that way. So I don't know if you remember where you were when you got the news or you saw the news, but it was so weird because that was such a pinnacle moment, and then what happened right afterwards, it made me, I don't know, it tried to negate that whole great memory. Like, I couldn't even look at that video, which I thought I was gonna love with the cutoff and everything. I can look at it now. I remember it all as a good thing, but it's bittersweet because it was such a great thing, and then we were all had that kind of disappointment like that. So. What they say, pain plus humor equals pain plus time. That's another thing I'm trying to think of. We'll get the right one.
Yeah, it's something like Yes, I've heard this before. I'll find it and put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
That's
So
part about this.
now it's kind of, it's another thing that happened. But that night until the next day was one of my career highlights.
What do you think music can do for an average human?
Yeah, that's a really good question too, because we have so many visceral memories connected to music. So whether it's a particular song that just takes you to a time and place like nothing else can, that you already know, that has a place in your subconscious, or if you're willing to go on the journey with something new, there's all kinds of feelings there waiting to happen. So it's really a great thing, and I really appreciate the people who love the arts and music, and they're not performers themselves, but they're patrons of the arts, and they come and they listen, and those are the people who buy tickets to shows, and that's why we spend so much time to detail crafting things. So hopefully it lands for them,
If you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please rate, subscribe, and review. You can also listen to this podcast on Google Play and Stitcher. And you can find all of those links on the show's Instagram page at _entertainmentx_. Have a great day.